Hello, Marvel fans. Welcome back to our channel, the ultimate destination for all things superheroes, epic battles, and jaw-dropping stories. Today, we're diving into an action-packed episode of The New Avengers, where chaos erupts, alliances are tested, and villains wreak havoc like never before. But before we jump into the heart of the action, do me a quick favor. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and ring the bell icon so you never miss out on the latest episodes and superhero content. Your support helps us keep this channel flying high, just like Iron Man. All right, heroes, buckle up. It's time to dive into the story. New Avengers Volume 2. Previously in New Avengers. 6 months ago, tragedy struck the Avengers like never before. The Scarlet Witch's catastrophic breakdown unleashed her reality-altering powers, causing devastation on an unimaginable scale. In the ensuing chaos, Hawkeye, Ant-Man, and Vision lost their lives, while many others were scarred, both physically and emotionally. Lacking resources and support, the Avengers disbanded, leaving Earth's mightiest heroes scattered and broken. Now, the world faces a new threat. The Raft, a maximum security prison for supervillains, has become the epicenter of a calculated disaster. Hired by an unknown benefactor, the supercriminal Electro plunges Manhattan into darkness, overloading the Raft's defenses and freeing 87 of the most dangerous criminals alive. Among them is a mysterious prisoner whose identity and purpose remain shrouded in secrecy. Caught in the chaos are S.H.I.E.L.D. agent Jessica Drew, Spider-Woman, lawyer Matt Murdock, Daredevil, his partner Foggy Nelson, and hero-for-hire Luke Cage. Unbeknownst to them, Captain America races toward the Raft in a shield. Stealth Chopper accompanied by a hidden passenger. Spider-Man, determined to help, no matter the cost. Rain lashes against the courtyard of the Raft as Manhattan sits shrouded in unnatural darkness. Spider-Man and Captain America crouch on the wet asphalt, their senses heightened. Suddenly, a crackling surge of energy pierces the sky. A blinding electromagnetic explosion tears through the roof of the Raft, scattering debris into the stormy night. Electro floats above the gaping hole, crackling with power. In his grip is a shadowy figure, one of the Raft's inmates. Without a word, Electro and the mysterious prisoner vanish into the sky, leaving chaos in their wake. "Spider-Man, hold back!" Captain America barks as Spider-Man leaps toward the building. "No time!" Spider-Man shoots back, his voice sharp with urgency. "Those guards won't last a second!" Ignoring Captain America's protests, with one swift movement, Spider-Man leaps onto the roof of the Raft, peering through the hole left by Electro's blast. His heart sinks as he sees the chaos unfolding inside the prison. Dozens of supervillains freed from their cells are already wreaking havoc, taking control of the facility. Spider-Man's spider sense goes haywire as beams of energy and waves of power immediately start targeting him. He tries to dodge, but the sheer force of the attacks is too much. A blast hits Spider-Man square in the chest, knocking him to the ground with an agonizing thud. Before he can recover, Count Lucino Nefaria, his dark magic crackling like a storm, descends through the gap. His eyes glow with malevolent glee. "Spider-Man!" Nefaria growls, his voice resonating like thunder. "You dare return here? This time your life is mine!" With a flick of his wrist, Nefaria's magic sends Spider-Man hurtling through the hole, crashing into the heart of the Raft prison. Inside, the freed villains, ranging from the deranged fool killer to the deadly cutthroat, waste no time in turning on the wall crawler. Outnumbered and overwhelmed, Spider-Man tries to fight back, but the tide is too strong. His fists connect with nothing but air as the villains descend upon him, each blow harder than the last. Fool Killer's ruthless strikes Crusader's magical energy blasts and Cutthroat's brutal combat moves make it impossible for Spider-Man to defend himself. They beat him relentlessly, pushing him to the edge of death. Just as the mob closes in for the kill the Spider-Man, a vibranium shield whistles through the air, scattering the attackers. "This ends now!" Captain America's voice rings out as he charges into the fray, shield agents at his back. Together, they hold the line, giving Spider-Man a chance to recover. Meanwhile, on sub-basement level 7 of the Raft prison, shadows stretched across the cold, damp corridors. The air was thick with unease, and the hum of tension was almost tangible. Matt Murdock, also known as Daredevil, stood in the dim light of an emergency lantern, his sharp senses heightened. Beside him were Jessica Drew, now a SHIELD agent, and the Raft's supervisor, Luke Cage, his unbreakable skin glinting faintly, and Foggy Nelson, Murdock's loyal friend. Around them, a group of weary prison guards clutched their weapons nervously. With the power out and chaos reigning above, they were trapped. But there was one possible way out. A man who could level mountains and tear through armies. Matt stand before reinforced and pitch-black cell of Robert Reynolds, as known as Sentry. Once the most powerful hero on Earth, now sat motionless in dark corner of his cell, his massive frame slumped against the wall. Accused of killing his wife, his psyche fractured and broken, he had become a prisoner of his own guilt. "Robert," Matt said, his voice steady but urgent, "you're the strongest of us. You could save everyone here." The Sentry didn't stir. His golden eyes, once radiant with power, remained dim. "Robert, listen to me," Matt continued. "Whatever happened, whatever you think you've done, we can deal with that later, but now we need you. Innocent lives are at stake." The silence was deafening. Nearby, the guards shifted uneasily. One of them, pale and trembling, addressed Jessica Drew. "Agent Drew, what are your orders?" "We don't have a protocol for any of this." Jessica's expression hardened, though fear flickered in her eyes. "We need to move. I think my spider sense is still sharp enough to guide us." Luke Cage nodded, his voice steady. "We can't wait for backup. We make our move now." From the far corner of the corridor, Foggy Nelson, clutching a flashlight, called out, "Matt, this is a waste of time. Leave him, and let's get out of this nightmare." The group turned to look at Foggy, but their expressions froze in terror. Behind him loomed a monstrous figure, its jagged teeth glinting in the faint light. Foggy, puzzled by their horrified stares, slowly turns and comes face to face with Carnage. Before Foggy could react, Carnage let out a guttural roar, its sound echoing through the prison halls like a death knell. "Foggy, move!" Matt shouted, leaping forward and tackling his friend out of harm's way. Luke Cage and Jessica Drew sprang into action, engaging the monstrous foe head-on. Matt joined the fight, his billy clubs striking with precision, but Carnage was relentless, he punching Matt's face, slamming him into the ground. And with a swipe of his tendrils, he sent Luke crashing into a wall and knocked Jessica off her feet. The prison guards, desperate and terrified, open fire. Bullets ricochet off the walls and bury themselves harmlessly into Carnage's shifting, liquid-like form. The creature laughs mockingly. With terrifying speed, Carnage turned on the guards, tendrils whipping out to snatch their weapons and toss them aside like toys. It advanced, its jagged teeth bared. "Now it's my turn!" it hissed. "I'm starving!" The guards backed away, their courage crumbling as Carnage lunged forward. But before Carnage could reach them, Luke Cage threw himself into the fray, his unbreakable body slamming into the symbiote with a thunderous impact. "Not on my watch!" Cage roared, his fists landing powerful blows on Carnage's writhing form. Carnage reeled back, momentarily stunned, but quickly retaliated. a tendril shot out, wrapping around Luke's torso and slamming him into the wall with bone-crushing force. "Nice try, tough guy," Carnage sneered. "But I'm just getting warmed up." Despite the impact, Cage pushed himself up, his jaw set in determination. "You'll have to do better than that." While Luke struggled with Carnage, Jessica Drew sprang into action. Her enhanced agility allowed her to dart behind the symbiote, and she unleashed a powerful venom blast directly into its back. Dazed but determined, Matt struggled to his feet. "Jessica!" he gasped. "Get the guards and Foggy out of here. Luke and I will hold him off." But before Jessica could respond, a deep, gravelly voice echoed from the darkness. "Matthew Murdock!" The group froze. From the shadows stepped a hulking figure, his face twisted into a grotesque snarl. It was Dr. Calvin Zabo, the brilliant but deranged scientist who had transformed himself into the monstrous Mr. Hyde. "I've waited a long time for this," Hyde snarled, his voice dripping with menace. "You humiliated me, Daredevil. Now I'll rip you apart with my bare hands." Hyde lunged with the ferocity of a beast, his massive fists slamming into the wall where Matt had been moments before. The impact sent chunks of concrete flying, forcing the others to scatter. The chaotic battle rages on in the sub-basement of the Raft. Matt Murdock and Mr. Hyde trade brutal blows, their fight echoing through the cavernous prison. Nearby, Jessica Drew and Luke Cage struggle against the ferocity of Carnage. With each swipe of his claws and tendrils, Carnage gains the upper hand, laughing maniacally as he drives his opponents to their limits. Just as it seems that the heroes might be defeated, a blinding golden light floods the room. The heroes and villains alike pause as Sentry descends, his golden costume gleaming and his blue cape flowing like a banner of hope. His sheer presence demands attention. Carnage freezes, his twisted grin faltering into a snarl. "You!" Carnage hisses, rage contorting his grotesque face. Without hesitation, he launches himself at Sentry, his tendrils flailing. Without a word, Sentry moved with lightning speed, grabbing Carnage in an unbreakable grip. The symbiote struggled, its tendrils flailing wildly, but it was no match. Sentry flew upward with immense force, breaking through the ceiling of the raft and into the stormy night sky. The heroes below watched in awe as Sentry ascended, his golden aura lighting up the dark clouds. He soared higher and higher until he reached the cold void of space. There, the icy darkness consumed Carnage, freezing and suffocating the symbiote until it was no more. Back in the sub-basement, the heroes regroup. Matt Murdock, Jessica Drew, and Luke Cage managed to overpower Mr. Hyde, using teamwork and strategy to finally subdue the rampaging giant. Jessica rushes to Foggy Nelson, who had been hiding, trembling in fear. She helps him to his feet, her voice calm and reassuring. "It's okay, Foggy. We've got you," she says, guiding him forward. As the group caught their breath, Matt looked up at the gaping hole in the ceiling created by Sentry's dramatic exit. "Sentry's given us a way out," he said urgently. "We need to move now." Suddenly, the sound of rushing water fills the chamber. The ground begins to flood rapidly, water pouring in from unseen cracks and broken pipes. "What the hell?" Luke Cage exclaimed, before the water rises to his knees. From the depths, a dark figure emerged. Morris Bench, better known as Hydro Man, rose with the tide, his body composed entirely of swirling water. "I've destroyed every water pipe in this prison. You're all going to drown here." Luke Cage didn't hesitate. With a furious roar, he punched Hydro Man square in the face. The impact caused Hydro Man's watery form to momentarily collapse, buying them precious seconds. "Move!" Matt ordered. The group raced through the flooding corridors, Foggy clinging to Jessica as she led the way. They emerge on the first floor of the prison, where the battle rages on. Captain America, Spider-Man, and the remaining S.H.I.E.L.D. agents are locked in fierce combat with the villains and prisoners still wreaking havoc. Matt, Jessica, and Luke immediately join the fight, determined to stop the escape of these dangerous criminals. Blasts of energy, webs, and fists filled the air as the two sides clashed. The villains fought ferociously, desperate to escape, while the heroes held nothing back, determined to restore order. In the middle of the battle, Mike Steele, known as Ironclad, an unstoppable iron monster, launches a vicious attack on Captain America. With brute force, Ironclad grabs Captain America and hurls him high into the air, sending him soaring toward the sky. As Captain America falls helplessly, the battlefield freezes for a moment. The prisoners cheer while the heroes look on in horror. Suddenly, with a flick of his wrist, Iron Man swoops in and catches Captain America mid-air, effortlessly preventing him from falling. He teases his friend with a smirk. "Hello, Cap. Did you miss me?" Captain America smirks, brushing himself off. "You always did have a flair for timing." The S.H.I.E.L.D. helicopters arrive just in time, their blades slicing through the air as reinforcements pour in. Iron Man sets Captain America down gently on the ground, asking, "Okay, what did I miss?" he asks, repulsors glowing in readiness. "We're trying to contain the most dangerous breakout in history," Captain replies. "Welcome back to the fight." Tony's face hardens behind his mask. "Maybe breaking up the Avengers wasn't the best idea." Cap glares at him. "We didn't. You did. But now's not the time for that. Let's end this." "Fine by me," Tony replied, his repulsors powering up. Side by side, Captain America and Iron Man dive into battle, their movements perfectly synchronized, despite their history. As the battle rages, Luke Cage hears a voice in the cacophony of chaos, a voice that chills him to his core. Luke Cage. He turns to see Zebediah Killgrave, the Purple Man, standing amid the chaos with a serene smile. "Do me a favor," Purple Man says, his tone smooth and commanding. "Kill all your friends, and then kill yourself." Luke freezes, his body trembling as he fights the invasive pull of Killgrave's mind control. Sweat beads on his forehead as the villain's influence worms its way into his mind. Luke's internal struggle grows, his mind a battlefield as he resists the overwhelming command. And the episode ends here. The battle, the fate of the heroes, and the survival of the Raft prison all hang in the balance. The story will continue in the next episode. Wow, what an epic ride. Thanks so much for joining us on this journey through the new Avengers. The action, the drama, and those jaw-dropping moments. There's so much more to come, and trust me, you don't want to miss what happens next. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it. It really helps us out. And if you're not already part of our superhero squad, hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you're always the first to know when the next chapter drops. Until next time, stay heroic, stay awesome, and we'll see you in the next episode.